6 months after the city banned local burlesque performer Lillian Bustle from performing a burlesque show in Jersey City, the City Council voted here this evening 7-1 to pass a new anti-obscenity law that will replace the current obscenity laws that have been on the books since the 1980s. Michael Yun was the lone no vote, and Councilwoman Joyce Waterman was absent.
With the amount of things that's being shown on basic TV, I don't know if this goes far enough to, to help the arts community. But I think if that's the case, we would have to take TVs out of all of our houses if we wanted to not see what this ordinance really protects. So I'm going to vote aye.
So a couple of weeks ago, I'm out with my daughter that just had a baby, and my granddaughter started to cry, and boom, she just, took out her breast and she started to breastfeed. And that impacted me because it brought me back to Councilman Solomon's at that very moment to this ordinance, which I was actually putting this in place of a denial of this ordinance. But, I want to thank Councilman Solomon, Lillian, who's been extremely cooperative in explaining this ordinance well, and I'm very happy to vote aye on it.
The bill, as I've said publicly and before, I think it contains two very important changes to the current law. Again, much stronger and clearer protections for free speech that allows for artistic performance in our community, which is, we're very proud of our arts community and the creative elements of this city. And second, it removes unreasonable and unconstitutional restrictions on people's private lives. So those are two very good things. I did want the bill to go further and I believe more trans-inclusive and trans-friendly, but we have a very diverse community, and it's important to pass legislation that moves the city forward and find a degree of consensus as a council. So I think this bill is an important step forward, and we'll vote aye.
I have to look into how my resident Jersey Heights people is going to be, how to think about this issue. So we based on contemporary community standard as an average person within the community, which is Jersey City Heights. If you look at the Jersey City Heights, the most religious institute and the public school located in Jersey City Heights. Because of that, doesn't matter how personally I think about this law, but as a representative of Jersey City Heights, I have to say no as a representative of Heights.
I just asked Mr. Solomon, Councilman Solomon, about sex shops, and he told me there's a state law saying you cannot open up a sex shop within 1,000 feet of a school. So that excludes sex shops from 99% of Jersey City. I also, there's not that much of a difference from the original law that's on the books now. I spoke to Lillian. I have nothing against burlesque in a proper setting, in a proper theater. We had it down in Asbury Park for years and down the Jersey Shore. And as long as it's done professionally and in good taste, But the main thing is that this law is not much different from the existing law. So I'll say aye.
I do not agree that people should be, or that we should dictate what people do in their homes and the amount of sex toys they choose to have. But I am glad that this law now is a little more inclusive of some of the community views with regards to nudity. And I think that this new law doesn't expose any more than you would see on television currently today. So, and it doesn't dictate anything in regards to strip clubs or sex toy shops or anything like that. So with that, I'm going to vote aye.
I think that while it didn't necessarily do the three objectives that the original one did, I think it's fair. I think that it takes people's concern into account. I think that it is in line with what other cities and states are doing here on the East Coast and around the country, and with that, I vote aye.
I think it's important to remember how this all got started, right? So it was Ms. Bustle and her performance, and how the antiquated laws that we had on the books were used to torment and to harm her. So, so that's what prompted this, and I think, I don't think it changes the needle very much on like our standards here as a community and how we relate to each other in that sense. But it takes away a tool, an antiquated tool, and modernizes it so that we have language and laws that are more consistent with what our interpretations of obscenity and community standards are today. So I will vote aye, and hopefully we can continue to move forward as a community.
Mark Busich reporting here at Jersey City City Council for Hudson County View, the eye of the community.